Some daily routines are good.
Time to hit the gym.
Some aren't so good.
Time to hit the buffet.
Walmart has everything you need for the good kind, like one-a-day vitamins, 65-count 50-plus, or 70-count VitaCraves, each only $6.97. And 10-count airborne dual-action effervescent tablets for just $10.97.
Time to hit Walmart.
Exactly. Save money on the little things that make a big difference. Start strong. Save big. Walmart.
Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Hello and Happy New Year, everyone. It is Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Lucy Liefried in Chicago. Put the kids in bed and get comfy because you're about to have a Paranormal Friday night. Welcome, friends, family, fellow investigators, and those who are new to the field. Do you have a question to ask us or a story to tell? Well, don't worry. You have two ways to be heard. Call into the show and be on the air live by dialing 661-244-9831. Press the number 1 to get your call in queue, or you can type in your questions in the chat room. Anthony and I will refer to them during the show. And if you're listening on the archives or on YouTube, well then, make sure to get here on Friday nights live. When you're not listening to us, you can check out our Facebook page and YouTube channel for some cool articles, videos, show highlights, and promotions. And if that's not enough, you can always drop us a line at paranormal.review@aol.com. Okay, kids, it's time for Paranormal Review Radio.
Wow. 2014 was an amazing year, I think, for us on air. Typically every year we have a pretty good year, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
But I think 2014, and we said it in the very beginning of the year, that we were going to try and push the envelope a little bit more in the way that we address the topics of the paranormal. You know, we weren't going to simply accept the simple answers that, I have been accused of, and actually, I have accepted simple answers in the past. And so, therefore, I've sort of pushed myself. I hopefully have pushed you a little bit, Lucy, and hopefully have pushed our guest into, thinking outside of the box, always questioning things, and trying to find the root of whatever it is that you were trying to look for. And it was that sort of mode and that sort of attack that we tried to attack 2014 with. And I think we were successful. I think we have gone through the gamut of everything paranormal. We weren't just sort of one-sided as a lot of other shows are. We went from, psychics to conspiracy theories, from EVPs with Mark and Debbie Constantino to the Church of Satan, soul retrieval to Stonehenge, and digital afterlife to Akashic Records. If that's not a mix, and if that's not a variety show, then I don't know what is. Lucy, what did you think of 2014?
2014 was such a learning experience. All the shows we've done are all topics that we're interested in and our listeners are interested in. But each show that we've done has been a true learning experience for me. No matter how much I think I know, no matter how much I do research, there's always something else that comes from every single show that we've done. There's more questions. There's more connections to other topics that we've had. It's that that little invisible web that we talk about all the time. I believe it's true. And every show, every topic we've done has, for me, kind of branched out and touched on something else. And it was an amazing year, and it was so much fun.
Well, tonight we're going to connect that invisible web with all of the shows that we've been able to produce during 2014. And we've reached out to some of our previous guests that we just love and adored, and we thought that it would be great to have them back on the air. I'm not going to announce who they are, but hopefully we're going to have a few of our past guests on throughout the entire show tonight. So make sure you pay attention and listen in throughout the entire show, because you never know who's going to pop up, and sort of get a little bit of an update, checking out to see what happened after our show, if there's any good things that are coming up in the near future for them. So with that, Lucy, why don't we just give people the sort of lowdown of what our top 5 shows were. According to the statistics of Blog Talk Radio, that is, this was gathered from the information that we gathered from Blog Talk Radio and their sort of survey and statistic line, where they calculate all of, our listener numbers and our call-ins and all of that, and they gave us a little bit of a number. So we put together the list of our top 5. Why don't you read what our top 5 shows were?
Well, starting at number 5, and this was back in June, The Demon of Brownsville Road with Bob Cramner. And then we go to number 4, which was in November, The UFO and Extraterrestrials, the Native American Legends Show. And then we go to number...
But before you get on, these shows in particular, The Demon of Brownsville Road, Bob Cramner, that particular show I remember seeing on the news earlier on in the year, and wanted to reach out to him. And for some reason, whenever you mix Native American with anything paranormal, it always gets a good hit. People are really, really interested in it. So maybe that's one of the things that we want to try and sort of tackle even more, and try and see what the links are between the two, if there are any, to try and see if we can sort of find some answers. But I'm sorry. So that was number 4, which was the Native American Legends. What's number 3?
Number 3 was back in October, and that was Sold My Soul to Satan, True Devil documentary with Kai Blackwood. Then we go to number 2, which was in September, and of course, Shadow People Phenomena with Jason Offutt. And then, what do you think the number 1 show was last year?
I know what the number 1 show was last year. I'm not sure if our audience knows which one it is. I'm sure they do.
Well, this was back in June, and of course it was our interview, The Dead Files, Amy Allen and Steve DeShavi, our exclusive interview with the two.
Which was an amazing interview, because the first time that we had Amy and Steve on the show, I was unable to be here on the air with Lucy. She had to conduct the interview by herself, which she did a great job in doing. But we were lucky enough to actually get them both back on the show in June, and I was lucky enough to be able to talk to them and sort of, shoot out some of my own questions. And so just these last two, or these top 2 shows actually were my favorites, Lucy. Those 2 were my favorites. In particular, the one with Kai Blackwood. And the whole idea of Sold My Soul to Satan really, really intrigued me. It, obviously it had that darker side to things, and so it attracted more people to the show. So obviously it made the number 2 spot. But just to be able to speak to Kai, and not knowing anything about him before, and obviously not speaking to him before the show, I was intrigued with his story and the idea of him being picked to be in this documentary, and to have to go through, not have to go through, but he chose to go through this, signing his soul to the devil ritual, real traditional ritual. And I just got amazed as we went on and on during the interview, and we got to get into Kai Blackwood's mind so deep that I think even he started to see things that he never realized before. And I can give you one instance. was when he was talking about, and he was feeling defeat. And we reached a point in the discussion where he felt as though he had been defeated by the devil and that he had sort of lost. Even though the ritual was not completed, if you go back and listen on the archives, he revealed that the actual ritual was not completed. Something had happened towards the end. I think the mirror had broke, so they weren't able to complete it. But afterwards, he had told us about the bad luck and the horrible things that had gone on in his life. But he just felt so defeated and lost. But as we talked more and more, and we started to sort of open more doors, it almost felt like a psychology class almost, talking to him. I think he felt as though he was on the couch and we were both his psychiatrists. But he started to see things a little bit differently, and he started to understand that if this whole thing was real about signing his soul to the devil, then there can be some things that he can to counteract it. And one of the things that we had talked to him about was the idea that maybe it wasn't just this whole ritual that is creating all of this bad luck. Maybe it was life that was creating all of it. And in order to change that around, maybe it was to create a more positive attitude, which he was lacking in, because he was so wrapped up in that bad luck, in that horrible mess and chaos that he had, that he couldn't see outside of it. And I think you started to actually visualize, even though that we're not on TV and we're not on YouTube or anything like that, you could actually see him and his expressions. And the way that he was talking, he was starting to realize that there may be something that he could do differently. And that's what made this show amazing. That's what made it real for me, and what made it such a spectacular show that we put on, because it wasn't just reporting. Here's the facts. Here's the news. Okay, great. Have a nice life, and goodbye. We really got in depth with him, and he got really honest with us, and I thought that was really courageous of him, especially because he's always been badmouth all around, town, basically, even within his industry. He's a musician and a director as well, and so, it just wasn't a good time for him, and we've been talking to him periodically throughout the time since we've interviewed him, and he loves our show, and he's had some really great theories on other paranormal stuff that Lucy and I really want to pick his brain on. So we're going to have him on the show, I think, hopefully in another month or two, and we can pick a topic, and he'll just start talking about it. But he's a really interesting guy. So that was one of my favorite shows. The other one that comes sort of second in line, and then I'll let you, Lucy, sort of talk about yours, obviously was the Amy and Steve show from Dead Files, and our interview with them. One in particular point in that show, in that episode, the interview that we did with them, was the question that I had given to Steve was, what does he think about other paranormal shows? And we've asked this with other, sort of quote-unquote paracelebs in the industry, and they've never really given what I think is a real answer. So if you want to hear it, for yourself, you can always go back into our archives and check out that episode that we did. I keep calling it as an episode. Our interview that we did with Amy Allen and Steve DeShavi. But here's the quote that I just wrote down that he gave us when I asked him, what do you think about other paranormal shows? And he says, and I quote, "We don't play into, look at that. Did you see that? No, I don't see shit. I don't get it. Our show and other shows are more professional and done the right way. We don't brag about it. We do it for the client and not for our own selfish needs." And I think, again, that was a real answer. That was something that was very honest that he gave. And I appreciated his answer for that. And I really think that he's telling the truth. His show, him and Amy's show, The Dead Files, is much more professional, and it is for the client. And if you notice, I'm not going to name names, but there are other shows that are out there that seem to be, a little bit more of a bragging and sort of selfish attitude like, and it's all about them as the investigator and not about what is happening at hand and the people and the victims that are being affected by it. So those two are my favorite shows.
Well, You got to stay out of my head, okay? My favorite shows, of course, we talk about Steve and Amy. And you know what? It's because I love the show so much. And every time we talk to them, it's like you're getting a little bit more, like just the things that Amy talks about, like that goes in as far as production, not knowing where she's going to end up, you know, just being shipped off to a location and how she has to pack three sets of clothes, you know, because she doesn't know where she's going to end up. And then to talk to Steve. Steve is just like so real and so, he's just so cool, so down to earth. They are absolutely cool people. And like you said, they don't, I mean, when you watch the show, it's not like the other paranormal shows. You don't have people running around, you know, demanding, you know, that spirits show themselves. I mean, it's a mystery show, but it's paranormal. I mean, it's absolutely great. And then my other show was of course, was the Kai Blackwood show. I really enjoyed talking to Kai. And I went back and I listened to the show, and it's almost, you can almost feel how, like, at first when he started, he was a little bit, you know, apprehensive. You could tell that he didn't really know what we were about. He didn't know how we were going to come out. And by the end of the interview, it's just like so cool that he opened up so much. And yes, he's got some really interesting theories on other things, on aliens, on UFOs, things like that. And we're definitely going to have him back to the show. And we want to talk about all these other theories that he has. He's got some amazing things to say, and he's really a whole lot of fun. But I do want to add one other show to that. I absolutely enjoyed the Mothman show with Mike and Mateo from the Whatcast. I mean, these guys are funny, they're knowledgeable, and they're really, really cool. So the show that we talked about, Mothman and all the theories in that was a fun time.
Well, speaking of Mothman and our show, we do have folks that have been with us forever from the very beginning that we do want to bring on air. Do you want to bring them on air with us, Lucy?
Yes, I do. Hold on one second.
And then we can talk about our lowest rated shows as well.
Hello.
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 Can you hear me now?
Hi, guys.
Who do we have on the line? Do we have Connie?
Oh, yeah, and I'm sick, so,
Oh, good. I can't see your snot, so that's good.
That's good, because I'm sneezing like there's no tomorrow, and I look like a 2-year-old.
For those of you who are listening, we have Connie, Queen of the Superfans.
Yes, Connie runs our Superfans page on Facebook. She has been with us forever from the very, very beginning. She's a dear friend of us on the show. She's confided. We've confided in her on things with guests.
I'm going to be on a radio show.
About the topic and a whole bunch of other stuff.
There's a radio show, and they want to talk to me and Mike.
But I believe we have also, do we have anybody else on the line?
Yes, Mateo.
Hello.
Hello, Mateo.
It's Mateo from the Whatcast.
How are you guys?
Mateo.
We're fine. How are you? Happy New Year.
Thank you. You too, you guys. How are you, Miss Connie?
I am good. How are you?
Doing good. Besides the cold, I mean.
Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah. Man, damn them and their sharing.
So, Connie, I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite show that you listened to? And it doesn't have to sound professional. You can say whatever you want. Which one did you find interesting or fun or funny or, that you liked?
You know what? I honestly, lately, I have to listen to them the next day because, I have this tiny little spot with Bill to share. But still, my favorite is Amy. I love that woman. She's hilarious. And, well, Steve, of course. But every time you have those two on, I just love the show.
Oh, great.
And, yeah. I'm all medicated, so I may not make much sense right now.
Well, that's why I said you don't have to sound so professional, so don't worry.
I can tell, Connie. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
now
say what you feel.
Mateo, I don't have to ask you which one was your favorite show, right? It has to be yours, right?
Oh no, my favorite is still the Black Eyed Kids show. The
very really?
First one, I think oh yeah, that was wonderful. It's something I never heard of, and every question I wanted to ask you guys answered it as the show went along, and it was just a bombardment of awesome, well-searched information.
Well,
you guys,
did you guys ever attack? Did you and Mike ever attack Black Eyed Kids on your show, the Whatcast?
Yeah, we had a show that had about a bunch of different urban myths and legends and stuff, and doing research, they consider that just an urban myth. I mean, I think it should be a cryptid, a form of cryptid, but it's just there's not much on it, you know.
Well, you know, talking about sort of our favorites, we do have a little bit of a list of our least favorite shows. Lucy, do you want to give those out?
Mm-hmm. So let's go. These were our bottom 3 shows, okay? And we're going to start, well, actually, there's 52 shows that we did. And at number 50, it was actually Lloyd Auerbach, Proper Education and Issues with Paranormal Shows. Then, at number 51, was Dream Interpretation, Get Your Dreams Analyzed. And then, at number 52, and this really surprised me, it was back in April, our live investigation at Penhurst State Asylum. That was the least listened to show of the year.
What did we do wrong?
I don't know what that was.
I mean, I thought we did a really good show. I know we didn't get, you know, the whole possession and people getting scratched and all, but I thought it was a really good show, the live investigation.
I love the live investigation.
Fun.
Yeah, I've always loved doing the live investigations and the interactions that we have with the listeners, but this one just threw me for a loop. I mean, it actually was the least listened to show of the year. So I don't know. Maybe it's the Penhurst curse. I don't know.
I think, Lucy, you said something wrong on that show. Maybe, who knows? Well, I mentioned to Lucy before we came on the air, and again, Connie and Mateo, thank you both for hanging out with us tonight, because you know the show wouldn't be anything without you guys supporting us from the very beginning, and you know, being with us, and you know, obviously being on the show with us throughout the year as well. And so we'd love for you guys to hang out with us and talk with us. And you know, when we have our past guests come on, you know, you're more than welcome to ask any questions throughout the night. But as we were coming on the air, I mentioned to Lucy, I said, I found something online about our show that I had not known before. And I didn't tell Lucy about it because I said I wanted to come on the air and sort of surprise everyone on it. But, and I'm not one to boast, but I just thought, I saw this last night as I was doing a little bit of a research. When you just go into Google and you type in Paranormal Review Radio, believe it or not, there's 20 pages on Google of Paranormal Review Radio. And it's just everybody sort of takes our content and throws it up on every other website possible, which is fine. I mean, they're not saying that it's theirs, but they're just, you know, distributing our content, which is great. It's getting our word out there. But this was really interesting, and I thought it was really cute and fun. And I'm not sure if, Lucy, if you're familiar with New York Magazine?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we actually made it into New York Magazine.
Really? Oh, my God.
So back in August of this year, one of the reporters, Jessica Roy, did an article on everything you need to know about ghost sex. And she had talked about Nicole Ricci and Anna Nicole Smith, and there's this whole article. And it was in the section of New York Magazine called The Cut. And in The Cut is where they talk about fashion and celebs and sort of off-the-cuff type of stuff. And in this article, under the cut section, they talk about ghost sex and all this other stuff. And then it says on the bottom of it, for more information about ghost sex, and then it lists 4 different footnotes, and one of them is ours. It says the Paranormal Review Radio show has an episode dedicated to spectrophilia, and it has our link to it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Holy ghost sex, Batman! That's awesome. It is like awesome.
Could you imagine
that's
people
amazing,
are taking?
You guys, congratulations.
Could you imagine people are taking our material to formulate articles, especially in New York Magazine, which I thought was pretty amazing. I mean, I know New York Magazine all my life.
Yeah, no, I mean that's not just local. I mean that's like national coverage. So thank you, New York Magazine. And what's the name of the reporter that did the article?
Jessica Roy.
Thank you, Jessica Roy. Oh my God, a little late, but thank you.
Yeah, she gave other, for more information from the Discovery News, and I believe it is 2 books on the idea of ghost sex and terror nights or night terrors or something like that she talks about. So, I just thought that was interesting, and I'm sort of flattered, a little bit of flattery, that we were picked up and put on New York Magazine. So thank you all for all of that.
Thrilled. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Yeah. But what else, Lucy? Am I missing anything?
No. I mean, we started with the shows, the top shows and the bottom shows, and let me see. No, that's about it. So,
Connie, is there anything that you think Lucy or I should change going into 2015 now? Is there anything that we should change in our format?
Absolutely nothing. What you guys are doing is working, and you're getting big names on here and making it in the big newspapers and articles now, so I don't think you guys should change a thing.
Is there any topic that you think that we haven't hit that maybe might be of interest, specifically to you even?
Not really, no. You guys have pretty much covered everything. Like, I know there's one person I can't wait for you guys to have on there, named Robbie Thomas. But other than that, no. Like, I think everything you guys are doing, it's working. You guys are making names for yourselves. When I first joined you, there was a lot of ums and quiet times, and you guys didn't know what to say, and now it's just free-flowing.
Mateo, you and Mike, honestly, first of all, I love your show, The Whatcast. I've always said it, and I know you guys have invited me on, and it's been a crazy month or two, actually, for myself, to be able to get on your show, so I appreciate you coming on ours tonight. But you guys, I mean, talk about variety, you guys run the gamut of everything. Is there anything that you've hit on that you'd love for us to maybe tackle?
Not really. I mean, the only thing I'd love to see you guys do is more cryptid stuff, but that's just because I'm a monster nerd. But, I mean, Connie named it. I mean, everything you guys do is perfect in my eyes. I wouldn't change a thing.
That is one of the areas that we sort of have been lacking in.
Really.
Cryptids, yeah. I mean, other than sort of Mothman phenomenon, we really haven't gone into the sort of Loch Ness Monster and Chupacabra and all of that sort of mainstream type stuff, but even off mainstream, we never really touched it. So maybe in 2015, I think that's where we should go into.
We've talked about it, but we've never really
yeah, but talk is cheap.
Done it.
Talk is cheap. We got to just do it. Do you have anybody in Mateo? Do you have anybody in mind or a specific cryptid that you found interesting that maybe we should sort of delve into?
I've always found like the Hopkinsville goblins very interesting. Maybe like the Dover demon, because that thing was only seen, I think, twice in 1 year and never saw again.
Oh, okay. I'm writing these down as you're talking. Sorry.
Oh, my.
No worries.
Okay.
Bigfoot's been beaten to death. I mean,
yeah.
He's going to have to go way down the rabbit hole to like cover cool stuff with Bigfoot.
Yeah, and we've sort of hit sort of the bigger name, not the bigger names, but the sort of B-lister names in that area. Except for actually talking to Rick Dyer, who is pretty much a laughable character at this point in the Bigfoot community. But we've sort of hit that area, and we've talked about, I think, Bigfoot to death. I really do want to sort of get off that area and get into other cryptids. So, we I don't know if this is a cryptid, but the fairy idea we've sort of massaged a little bit, and we sort of talked about, and we're still trying to find somebody who is, at least halfway intelligent enough to talk to us about, the whole fairy thing. So I don't know if that falls into that category, but maybe we should include
I totally believe so. Mike is actually very knowledgeable in the whole fairy thing. There's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, people think about fairies as just some type of, quote, fairy tale, but there's some cool evidence out there. There's some cool reports.
We got to give Mike a call. Maybe he can come on.
He's on. I think he's in the cache. He's on hold.
All right. So, all right. Well, great. Thank you for that, Mateo. I think we're going to put that on the list, definitely. And again, 2015 is going to be, obviously there are so many other areas that we can get into within the paranormal. I think we're going to stick with the areas that interest our listeners, obviously, because it's what they want, and we want to make sure that we're giving everybody the talk and the discussion and the topics and the areas that they want to listen to or that they want to get into. So if there is anything out there, if you guys are listening, if there's anything that you want us to tackle or hit and really delve into it, and as our title goes, review, shoot us an email at paranormal.review@aol.com, or go on our Facebook page at Paranormal Review Radio, and you can send us a message there as well. And just, flood our inbox with whatever types of topics that you want. If you know somebody that may be of interest to us, feel free to send us that info. Many of our guests have actually come that way. They've been suggestions from our listeners and people who just shoot us an email and say, hey, I'm this, or I know somebody who does this. And actually, we're lining up a couple of people that way in January. So it's going to be really interesting. Hopefully, a really interesting 2015, and maybe some projects that I've said that, and I've said this before, that one big project that I have not been working on, but I have said that I'm going to be working on. I am making it my priority for 2015 to finish. So hopefully that's going to happen very, very soon, actually. All right, what's next, Lucy?
Well, I think we have someone on the line, a past guest, if you'd like to bring them on.
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
Who do we have?
Hello, who is this?
Oh, it's me, Noreen, honey.
Noreen Balovich.
Yes, do you believe on Yay Paranormal Zone TV, my own channel? Yay.
I love it.
Welcome, honey. How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Oh, my God, what a change, what a change. I am free. The ball and chain is gone. I'm so excited. I'm just so excited. And, God, I have to tell you, when you had us on, and Tim was not calling from the Wells house, I had to tell you that. And you, if you had been in my house when you brought on that caller that was talking about the Wells house and how it wasn't haunted, oh, my God, I was jumping up and down. I was so thrilled you did that. I thought, oh, my God, He got the karma. He got it back. Yay! I was awesome, you guys. That was really, really awesome, and he was not prepared for that.
Well, Noreen, let me back up because you have such energy. I want to just bottle you up and sell you. Let me give a little bit of information to our listeners. If you all remember, we had Noreen back in March with Tim Wood talking about the Wells House. And if everybody remembers, he was in, online articles talking about him buying the Wells House in Pennsylvania and how it was so very haunted and demonic and all of that stuff. And so we invited Noreen, who is the host of Do You Believe, now on Paranormal Zone TV, Do You Believe show on YouTube. Check her out. And we had Tim Wood on, and we just started to talk about their history, talking about their paranormal history, as well as, in particular, specifically this house, the Wells House. And at the end of the interview, after the interview, we put on a gentleman who had claimed to have lived on that block all his life of this Wells House, and claimed that the house was not haunted at all, that it was a joke in the community, and it was nothing that Tim was talking about. And after that show, Lucy and I both got sort of bitch-slapped, if I may say that, by Tim repeatedly on messages and emails by him claiming that we were no good, that we sort of lowballed him and had this guy on. And, if you listen to the interview and you listen to us talking, regardless of false and fake or true or whatever, if you listen to the interview that we had with this gentleman who sort of counteracted what Tim was talking about, we grilled this guy and we asked him and we said, we talked about how maybe, he was in truth, and we were questioning him to find out his validity, his own validity. So he, we put him on that fire as well. And it wasn't that we were sort of ganging up on Tim, but Tim saw it a different way. And so he basically disowned us after that. He sort of took us off Facebook and everything else and whatever. But we reached out to Noreen because we love Noreen. I've watched Noreen forever, and I've watched all her shows and loved them. And so we kept in touch, and we found out that there was, I guess, a split between Noreen and Tim are no longer a partner together in all of this. When did that all happen, Noreen?
It happened in June. I left in June, and the thing is, he had asked, Tim and I have had a friendship on and off for the last 8 years, on and off. 1 minute he's my friend, the next minute he isn't. And so when I was doing my talk show, Do You Believe, after my co-host left, she moved out of the area, and he had found out. Well, he sent me a message, and he said, "Hey, Noreen," he said, "I just want to help you tweak your show a little." He said, "You've really got something there, but let me help you tweak it." And I thought, oh, wow, how awesome. Tim Wood, he started back out in 2006, and that's when I was with him. And he made Live Sci-Fi used to have a name. When you heard Live Sci-Fi was, oh my God, yes. He started, I have to say, he started it all. He really did. He started out, he was the first one to ever live broadcast paranormal investigations. And so, anyway, I know you don't want to hear my history, but so he had asked me in October of 2012 to come and join Live Sci-Fi. So I said, oh my God, I because of the name Live Sci-Fi and all the viewers, I was thrilled. Well, I'm sorry, I'm beating. Okay, I did start with him in December on Live Sci-Fi, but he had showed me the proper way to broadcast, which I have to give him kudos for that. Mm-hmm. And so December, I started streaming my show in December of 2012, and everything was going great. Everything was going great. And then I was the host of my own show. Well, then everything started changing slowly. He started telling me what kind of topics I had to do, and then he started co-hosting with me. then from co-hosting, he started being the host with me on the same level. And then from there, he started being him the host. He would start my shows off, he would talk, not me. And the last show we did together, it was with Archbishop Ron Fale, and you should have him on the show. He's fabulous. He was kicking me under the table, and he dominated that show, and he did not want me to talk. My heart just fell to the floor. I was so upset, and I couldn't believe he was doing that to me. But this was slowly happening. And then one night I was supposed to have a show. It was on aliens, and Daryl Sims was my guest. You guys all know who Daryl Sims is.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he was my guest, and it was almost showtime. I said, Tim, where are you? And he says, oh, my bad. I'm at home. I said, what are you doing at home? The show is in 5 minutes. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And that did it. That was it. So the next day I contacted him, and I sent him a message, and I said, look, what you did was so unprofessional, and you really put me in a bad spot. I'm so embarrassed. And I said, I want control back of my show. I don't want you on my show anymore. And so, and I said, no, I'm not interested in demons and all that stuff, dark stuff that you do. So he sent me a message the next day. He said, that's what live sci-fi is all about, the dark side. And I guess it's time for you to go out on your own. And that's what I did. So in July, I started back up because I've been Paranormal Zone TV since February of 2009. I created Paranormal TV. Mm-hmm. And then I started live broadcasting as well because I learned from him how to live broadcast paranormal ghost shows. And then anyway, so in July of this year, I started up my channel. I reactivated it, and it's doing fabulous. I'm so happy because I can do what I want. I can have the guests I want. And I'm just free. I'm just free to do what I want, and I don't have him hanging on me.
Yeah. I also noticed. I noticed also too that I believe you have. I don't know if he's a co-host or he comes on periodically, but I know I've seen the name Dave Spinks there. And wasn't Dave also a good friend of Tim as well?
He was, in quotes, was.
Right.
He learned fast. And he had asked me about Tim. I said, you know what, Dave, that's not my MO to talk about people. I'm not going to say anything because you have to make up your own mind. And I said, that's all I'm saying to you. And within a couple of months, he already had figured him out. And he there's things that Tim did to me, the stuff that he did to Dave, and my MO is I've never talked about anybody in public. I don't do that. I don't do it on Facebook. I don't do it anywhere. But can I read this letter to you? And this is all I have to read to you, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And this
Absolutely.
sums up. This sums it all up without me personally saying it. And this is a typical letter through email and messages. I've received, I can't tell you how many messages and emails I have received from people wishing me the best, and they were so happy that I finally left Live Sci-Fi. And this is just one of them. And this kind of sums it up. So let me read this to you.
Okay.
I am a sensitive and a very empath person. I first saw you on the site called Live Sci-Fi and then was unable to find you. I liked the way you talked. You had a kindness about you and you were genuine. I was on Live Sci-Fi and said to myself, where is Noreen? The stuff that man was dabbling in is going to get him in a state of oppression and possibly lead to other dangerous things in his life. He has no idea what he is toying with. That man with the glasses who often did the shows with you has changed, and I was very offended by his words. I am a homosexual, and I was shocked when he asked the spirit if it was a something sucker, and also used the
I think it means faggot word, repeatedly. Hold on. I was so sickened by him that I had to turn him off, and I was so unhappy. So I was so happy to find you. I do not know how to describe that I felt knowing that that man who wears glasses is now doing Ouija board and things he should not be tampering with on his own. A person who seemed like a nice guy has transformed into something that scared me. His behavior and the whole personality is different now. He does not seem to care who he offends. I can say this, I am sorry he missed out on having you around. He will regret it as he is doing whatever he can to communicate with any kind of spirit or inhuman spirit he can. He is scary. I do believe it is all about ratings for him, and he already has turned into a dark person. I saw him on an investigation he has done. I became so sick that I had to turn it off and pray. What I picked up, I could feel from him, was pure evil. And that says it all.
That does say it all. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
Noreen, one thing I got to say to you, you are probably one of the sweetest people I have ever come in contact with. I am so happy that you are back on your own. And I know our listeners agree, you have such a positive energy. And I would never, ever, ever want to see that positive energy be oppressed in any way. So you know what? Congratulations, dear. I'm happy. We're all happy that you're back on your own.
Oh, thank you so much, and so am I. I was scared, but I've done my show before, and I will continue to do my show. And those that did follow me on Live Sci-Fi are slowly finding me, and my show is growing, and I'm in seventh heaven. I'm in seventh heaven, and you guys are awesome. I love the both of you. Anthony, I remembered when I asked for your request for friendship. It was in 2011 on Facebook. And I love you guys. You guys are doing an awesome show. You are one of the best radio shows, and I rather listen to you on YouTube because I'm on YouTube all the time. So I just go over to your shows and start listening to them. I love them. You fix everything. Awesome.
Thank you, Noreen. So why don't you tell us about your show? Tell us where everybody can go to check it out, and what's in store. What's in store for 2015 for you for Do You Believe?
Oh, just keep growing. I've come up with an idea for a second show, and I'm going to work on that. It's so hard. I don't know how you guys do it, but I find it so difficult to find not only topics but guests.
Yes.
It's so. My God, it's like it's like a job, a 40-hour-a-week job doing this show.
Yes.
Because you have your guests, you got to find your topic, then you have to research it. Oh my God. So anyway, I want my show to grow, and I just want to thank everybody who has watched my show and followed me. I wouldn't have the growth that I'm having. I have almost 420,000 views now, and I just started in July. And the subscribership is growing, and I'm going to start a second show on my Paranormal Zone TV. It'll still be part of the Paranormal Zone TV web series, but I had a click in my brain today on that subject. And that's all. I'm just going to keep growing and continue what I'm doing. That's all. And bring good guests and good topics to everybody. So they'll come over and watch my show, too. Not just yours, but mine, too.
Absolutely. And then everybody can go over to YouTube. I believe if you just type in Paranormal Zone TV, Do You Believe? I believe that's the only way, really, to pick it up, or is there something special?
Oh, yeah, honey. It's just Paranormal Zone TV web series.
Gotcha. Paranormal Zone TV web series.
Paranormal Zone TV web series.
Paranormal Zone TV web series. Noreen Balovich, thank you so much for coming back on the show with us and giving us a little bit of an update. We love you even more, so don't be afraid. We'd love to have you back on the show and, talk about anything that you want to talk about.
Well, I love you guys. Happy New Year and much, much success to you guys. Wish you the best.
You as well.
Thank you.
Same to you, Noreen. Thank you so much. Love you, darling.
Love you too. Night, guys. Thanks.
All right.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Isn't
she awesome?
She's awesome. She's amazing, and I am actually glad that she is away from that man because, I could tell with her, I've known her for a long time, and I have seen her shows before Live Sci-Fi, and I've seen her shows during Live Sci-Fi, and completely different. And you can see the shackles, as she was claiming the shackles. She's free. You can feel those shackles with him. But not only that, just in my interactions with his show, I can give you a for instance even too. Back in September, Lucy and I were watching one of his quote-unquote live ghost hunts that was done in California, and we were in the chat room. And all the while, it was promoted as being live. He was saying that it was live on the YouTube show, and I just got a feeling, and I can tell I'm sort of an investigator at heart, basically, and I could tell that this was not live at all, and I was questioning it in the chat room, and after a couple of times of questioning it, he kicked me out of the chat room, and I was blocked from it. And what I did then was contact another person that was on that live ghost hunt with him. And the person replied back that same night. I think it was probably 20 minutes after I had gotten kicked out. 20 minutes after that, this person replied back to me and said, no, it is not live. It was actually filmed yesterday, or it was filmed the day before. So he, I'm not saying once a liar, always a liar, but it just doesn't, things just don't fit with him. And as of right now, I know I don't believe he owns the home, the Wells house, anymore. Apparently now I guess it's not haunted. Who knows? I don't know the whole story. But I'm glad for Noreen, and I'm happy that she's doing well and that her show is on her way back up to where it should be and where it was before. And please check her out at Paranormal Zone TV web series on YouTube.
I am so glad to know her. I am absolutely glad. I mean, that's one of the things that's the beauty of doing this show. It has brought us in contact with some of the most amazing and some of the most interesting people around, and Noreen is definitely one of them. She's got a good heart. She's got a great energy, and if you have not listened to her show, please, you've got to. You really do.
Mateo, are you still on the line with us?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever watched his show on YouTube?
No, I haven't. And hearing what's been said about him, I'm glad this one time for my snobby choice of what I watch and listen to. This guy's pretty much an asshole, from what I can tell.
Well, the letter that Noreen was reading, towards the end of it, the gentleman that was writing this letter said that he's all in it for the ratings, and I believe that 150%. That if you go to the YouTube website, you can see, first of all, the descriptions that he puts for the shows. It's all to catch and capture people as they're perusing through YouTube, but also to and I'm sorry, the live show that Lucy and I both watched that I just talked about, that I got kicked out of, he put on the description that it was live ghost hunt suicide forest. Now, Mateo, when somebody says suicide forest, do you know what country they're talking about?
Yes, I do. Okay.
So if they're talking about Japan, you think that they're in Japan. Now, I remember when we were in the chat room where everybody was talking about this, saying, where is this? Is this in Japan? Are we in Japan? Where are we? It was actually filmed in California, but he labeled it as live ghost hunt suicide forest. And apparently there's, I guess it's sort of the neighborhood slang that they called this forest in California somewhere. They called it Suicide Forest because there were claims of people who killed themselves there. But that's just his way of capturing people. That's his way of getting ratings and grabbing people, and it's all about numbers to him. And as many numbers as you can get, the bigger that your ego gets, to me. It's just sad, and I'm glad that Noreen is sort of left.
Yeah, good for her. God bless her. She sounds like she's earned it, and he sounded like a terrible person to be around. That was only going to hold her back, and he seemed like the type of person that was just waiting to feed off of her. So good for her.
Right.
One of the things that makes me think of, and part of what we do is not to be, sensational, and it's not to be. I mean, we truly have questions. We're both students of the unknown, but it seems like, certain shows, and unfortunately Tim is one of them, where it's all about, demons and Zozo and all of this. I mean, it's all about getting people in, and that's fine. That's dandy, but you just have to wonder. It's like, okay, it's almost the same thing over and over, and then after a while you start thinking, okay, wait a minute, is this truly what's going on? So, it's something that I watched it a couple times. That live investigation was one, and I'm very proud to say I got kicked out of the chat room too, but excuse me, it's just not what we want to do, and I don't think it's what most people want to hear. So I'm very glad to see Noreen back on her own, and I'm glad to see that she's got that light energy back. I mean, there's a way to explore the paranormal, and it doesn't involve all the darkness all the time.
Well, we've reached out to a couple more of our previous guests, and I believe we do have two of them that had said that they were going to call in tonight, so we're hoping that they do call in. But if you guys are listening to us right now live and want to call in and share something that may have happened during the year by listening to our shows, I'd love to hear your stories about how you got interested in listening to us, or if there's anything that we're doing wrong, let us know. If we think that the agenda and the way that we sort of make the show go is sort of chaotic or confusing, let me know that as well, or let Lucy know that. Let her know the bad stuff. Let me know the good stuff. Give us a call at 661-244-9831. We'd love to hear from you guys. We've got probably another hour left to the show. I have a couple of things that I did want to talk about, but was there anything that you wanted to touch on, Lucy?
No, I mean, honestly, I think talking to Noreen was good. And again, I am interested in hearing what people think. I mean, you hear us talk every single week, and it's, we're talking to guests and everything. But I really enjoy the shows where we have the callers call in. I mean, we have gotten some really, really interesting information from people who have called. The topic of fairies. I mean, we talked to Marcus Orari from Ireland, who gave us some good information to start, a starting point. So a lot of times you guys, you're the ones that listen, and you have, your experiences, you have your theories. We want to hear about them, because what you give to us gives us a starting point as to where we can go. And if there's something in particular that you want us to tackle, we're all for it. Definitely.
Prior to the show, a couple of weeks back, we started to reach out to, again, our previous guests to see if they wanted to just send us an update of their lives and let us know what's going on, or if they wanted to come on the air and sort of, talk about anything in the new that was going on, or anything that happened during the show or after the show when we were interviewing them. And we received a note back from Rob Goutreau. And if you remember Rob Goutro's show that we did with him, which was back on May 23rd, and it was titled The Pets and the Afterlife. And he wrote an amazing book, Pets and the Afterlife. And it was actually one of our more emotional shows, if Lucy remembers, because Lucy got very, very emotional during that show, and so did Rob as well, and they were talking about the death of their pets and their dogs. And so it really, I guess, touched their hearts as well, and hopefully touched everyone else's hearts that was listening. But he gave us Rob Goutreau gave us a little bit of an update as far as where he's at right now and what's been going on since the show. And he wrote that he was happy to be part of our amazing year on the air, and since he was on the show back in May, he had the busiest summer ever, giving talks and making appearances, and obviously promoting his book, Pets in the Afterlife. He's given talks and appeared at pet expos in Richmond, Virginia, Frederick, Maryland, and Winchester, Massachusetts. He's also given talks about haunted cases with the Inspired Ghost Tracking Team, and opened up for Medium Barb Malin's Halloween event. He's also been interviewed on a number of programs, including Boston's WBZ News Radio. He also took part in Pensacola, Florida's Paracon. Hello? Oh, sorry. I also took part in Pensacola, Florida's Paracon, and went to upstate New York for a dog rescue fundraiser for Adirondack Save a Stray. And in 2015, he's making appearances at pet expos in Washington, D.C., New York City, and the Boston area. And he's also giving talks at the Kennel Club and libraries and other places. So if you want to check him out, he's got a great book called Pets in the Afterlife by Rob Goutreau. You just type that in to Amazon.com, and you can get your Kindle or paperback version of Pets and the Afterlife. So thank you, Rob, for being on the show, and thank you for the update. We'd obviously love to have you back on. You're a great guest, and you're a great guy.
Yeah, that show really did get to me. I mean, and this is something that I know a lot of us, we do, there's a lot of us that we have our fur babies, and it's a subject that we don't always think about. But, when you talk about ghosts and you talk about moving on to the other side, our animals do the same thing. And it was just comforting to think about that the loyal pet that you have in this life is still with you. I mean, they're your partner, they're your child, they're your hero in some instances. And when they leave you, it is traumatic. It is very, very hard to deal with. And talking to Rob just really, really helped me to come to terms with the loss of my pet. And I know there's so many of us out there that have gone through this. And it was an absolute pleasure talking to Rob, and it was very comforting. So thank you, Rob, for being a guest on the show. And, of course, yes, we do want to have you back.
I think we have our next surprise previous guest on the line, Lucy.
Yes, we do. So hold on one second. Hi, who is this?
Well, this is Corvus.
Hi, Corvus.
Hi, Corvus.
Oh. Thank you for
everybody.
Having me back.
Welcome to the show, Corvus Nocturnum.
Thank you, guys. It's always a pleasure to be on.
So, Corvus, we've had you on twice this year. You were actually really popular with us, and we loved having you on the show that we actually had to have you on again to talk about, because you are to me, in my eyes, you're a master author. Not only are you, originally we had you on to talk about the Church of Satan, but you are a master author on every topic possible. So can you tell us about, and also too, you are in the midst right now of hopefully getting a development deal on TV to talk about, or to put into development, to have, I believe it's called Eerie America, on the air for everyone to see. Can you talk to us about where you're at with that and what's going on?
Yes, we are in pre-production right now. We've already plotted out the first 3 years worth of shows. Right now we're doing a Indiegogo fundraiser for the first 10,000 that we need to do the first 6 episodes. And if we can manage to get the first 6 done between March and April, Spike TV and a couple other networks are definitely interested in picking it up.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you been given any sort of, I guess, light at the end of the tunnel that they talked about, possibly for 2015?
We don't know for sure. It depends partly on how fast we can do post-production of the first 6. And then it's a matter of just, negotiating and who gives us the better offer. There's, of course it depends on who it is and what their lineup is with other series that they have, what's going to fall off due to Nielsen ratings. It's all kind of up in the air until someone, gives you the contract to sign. So, it could be fall of 2015, it could be spring, of the following year. We're not sure yet.
Well, when we had you on the show the last time, you talked about the show and what your vision was for it. But can you share again what Eerie America is all about and what your hopes and dreams are of what our viewers can expect?
The vision of the show is kind of like we wanted to call the book in the first place, Adam's Family Travel Guide. In its all intents and purposes, it is a full-blown travel guide with 3 hosts showing you the best and most wicked, cool, fun places to eat at, sleep at, shop at that are out of the norm. It can be anything from true crime, serial killer, murder type related to paranormal, the Lizzie Borden House, Amityville, to just really unique shopping locations, like Five Hands Curiosity Shop is very much like the Oddities New York location in the TV show by Destination America. So, there's a slew of places that are tie-ins to different horror movies. There's Sleepy Hollow, Lovecraft Bar, which is, of course, modeled after H.P. Lovecraft. There's museums based on Edgar Allan Poe. We're over 500 locations in the United States right now.
I think Lucy's is muted. Lucy, take it off of mute. Are you there? I don't know what happened to Lucy. Okay. Sorry for that, Corvus. Where can folks go to hopefully contribute or fund this development?
It's Indiegogo.com / I do believe it is, if they Google it, it's Eerie America Travel Guide of the Macabre series. We're at a little over $1,000. We've got 33 days left by this morning, and we have several people that are waiting for the holidays recovery financially to donate.
Right.
I have already put a certain amount, but of course we're still trying to get it as much as we can. Any potential backers, it goes as low as $25. All the way up to $5,000. It's all dependent on what someone feels that they can spare. We're grateful for anything, and we'll be putting it out on DVD as well as through the networks. People that contribute to the project will be getting signed prints by the cast and crew. They'll be the first ones to get copies of the DVD before it's even out on television itself, so the people that are helping out, of course, are going to get the reward to see the first 6 before anybody else.
Great.
I'm so sorry, guys. I do apologize for that. But, Corvus, I want to mention one thing. I read. I constantly read. And as Anthony mentioned, you are such an amazing author with so many books. What is the latest book that you've written, and where can we go to find all of them?
Well, the latest book that I have right now won't be out until August, called Vampire Evolution from Myth to Modern Day. It's my second hardback through Schiffer Publishing, but I'll be self-publishing probably a good 6 to 8 books myself over the course of the next 9 months. I've got a book on werewolves coming out soon. Occult Crimes and Misconceptions is a title I've been slowly working on for years while taking college courses on criminal justice. I've got a book on Lilith and one on circus freaks. So I'm certainly doing my normal of just hopping from one topic straight into something totally different. That way it keeps people guessing. I don't want to be stereotyped and put into a nice little box on what I write. So, it's always of a dark nature, but I'm trying to keep it varied.
When we originally had you on the first time on the show, it was strictly and mainly to talk about the Church of Satan and sort of widen the eyes of our listeners to what the Church of Satan is all about and sort of negate some of the rumors and the gossiping and all of the non-truths that surround it all. And I think it was a really fantastic show, and it opened up my eyes to it completely. Even though I had done really what I think was extensive research, but just by talking to you and learning more about it from the inside really opened my eyes to it as well. And knowing that you were possibly going to be calling in tonight, which really do appreciate you calling in, thank you for that, I found a little interview that Peter H. Gilmore did in regards to movies and what the Church of Satan. I believe that there's a section in the website for the Church of Satan that talks about the movies that I'm not sure if it sort of embodies the aspects of Satanism or not, or is just what the Church of Satan sort of likes, and what they sort of favor and give thumbs up to. And it was funny that Mr. Gilmore had says that he likes Ken Russell's The Devils, Barry Sonnenfeld's Adam's Family Values, and John Landis's Animal House, which was pretty funny. And sort of he says it sort of embodies the aspects of Satanism. What are your favorite movies, regardless of background of religion and everything else? What are your favorite movies? What do you like to go see when you go to the movie theater? I predominantly like action movies just as a mental escapism. But at the same time, I tend to really rewatch a lot of my old classic favorites. The Al Pacino, Kenny Reeves, Devil's Advocate is a favorite of mine for obvious reasons. Just the demeanor of Al Pacino and how he expresses, his views is very compatible with the real Church of Satan. And another favorite of mine is American Psycho. Not for the whole slasher movie aspect, but just the way that the Patrick Bateman character by Christian Bale portrays himself and the things that he says to the public, who's totally clueless and oblivious to what he's actually saying, and how much contempt he holds for the general public, the idiots on the streets. And in line with that, Mr. Douglas in Falling Down is right along those same themes. That's a great movie. Great movie.
So if I had to pick 3 movies that exemplify how I feel and appreciate Hollywood cinema versus Satanism in action, it would be more along those lines of those 3 movies.
Well, you've hit being an author, and now you're tackling being, I guess, producer, director, or part of television. Do you hope to get into film and be on the big screen?
I don't have aspirations of being in movies myself as an actor. I mean, it's different when you're doing a travel show / hybrid reality show where I'm just being myself as an author, so-called expert on subjects as why I'm in it. But I don't really see myself doing things, in the realm of fiction. I'd rather be on the other end of the lens, using the executive production part and helping bring other people's visions and talents to, reality.
Well, that's great. I know you've had a long day. I know you were just getting off of another interview and coming on to talk with us tonight. So I really do appreciate you doing this with us tonight. Where can our listeners go again to find out more about you? And give the Indiegogo website and Amazon.com and any other particular areas, either it's Facebook or YouTube, that people can check you out on.
Oh yeah. I do have Facebook.com/Corvus Nocturnum. There's my YouTube channel, which has the Eerie America. It's got some behind the scenes for the show on it. I also have the Indiegogo/project/Eerie-America Travel Guide of the Macabre series. So if anybody's interested in reading up more on it, and they can watch the YouTube video that's on the fundraising site to get some scenes of all of the characters in action, talking about what we're doing and seeing a little montage of still shots. I definitely encourage people to go check it out and see what it's all about, more than what we've talked about in the last half hour.
Well, that's great. We're actually going to post all of these links on our Facebook show page. So for all of those that are listening, if you didn't catch it, you can always pick it up on our Facebook show page and check the link there. Thank you again, Corvus, for coming on. We do appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck with your future endeavors in television and in media and books and everything else that you do. You're great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Corvus.
Really Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
He's amazing, man.
Cool. He is cool. I mean, I have to say, you know what, like after we did the first show, I was apprehensive. I didn't know what to expect. But you know what? He is so eloquent. He is just really a cool person. And when you look at the list of books that he's written, it is absolutely amazing. And he covers all of these dark subjects. And it's not in the sensational way. I mean, they're really, to me, educational. And I truly enjoy reading his work.
He, one of the things, and I just wanted to play it here for a couple of seconds. I pulled a clip from the show that we did with him. Where is it? Here it is. Where it was towards the end of the interview with Corvus, and it was on the first interview that we did with him in regards to the Church of Satan. And I asked him sort of, what do you want to leave with our listeners? What's one thing that you hope that our listeners retain from the interview tonight, or that you want to leave with them? And this is what he says. So if you just take a minute and listen to this, this is sort of a word of thought, or thought of the day for him.
Firstly, I don't think there is anything like a stupid question. All the questions you have, I would prefer people came to me with, so we would understand each other better. As far as the rest, I think people need to read. People need to open up their minds, and like you said in the very beginning of the show, don't have misconceptions, don't have preconceived notions. If you think something is a little off or something is troubling you, then look it up, read, go to the source. That's why we have the Satanic Bible. That's why we have the FAQ section on the Church of Satan's website.
Right.
The thing I want to leave people with is, don't be gullible. Question everything. Learn, grow, expand. That's what makes us the best people we can be.
That's one of the things that we've always pretty much said throughout this entire 2014 year was question everything. And, you hear people say that all the time in the paranormal. But it's true. You question everything. Don't just take everything that's being spoon-fed to you. If you don't believe it or you have a little bit of a doubt, research it. Find out on your own what you think it may be. So if people are talking about the Church of Satan, they're saying, oh, they're devil worshippers, and they sacrifice babies and take the blood and drink it on Friday nights. Don't believe it. Read into it. Look it up. Go to the source. I've always said this, go to the horse's mouth and find out what it is that is truly, what makes up whatever the topic is that you're trying to find out. Don't just take everything spoon-fed. And also question what you're reading, Think about it. Think about where you're getting this information from. And don't just read everything on the Internet and say, okay, it's true then. No, you do a little bit more of research. Go back into books. Find out from accredited folks who are out there who have done real research in the matter and find out the real answers that you want to find out. Don't just take, again, simple answers, as I always say. Always research and question everything.
You mean if it's on the Internet, it's not necessarily true?
No, Lucy.
No, I mean, that even goes for us. I mean, the things that we present, the things that we bring to you, I mean, don't take it as gospel. I mean, you have to do your own research. We try to present everything from a factual point of view. We do our research, and it's up to you to make your decision whether or not you agree or not. And if you don't, let us know. If it leads you to do your own research, then good. You're opening up your mind. But I guess the most important thing is keep your mind open. Be willing to question, but also be willing to look at a new theory, to look at a new way of looking at things. Because if you keep your mind closed, sometimes you'll miss a different way, or you'll miss the answers that you're truly seeking.
Well, we've got a lot to cover for tonight's show, and I believe we have another previous guest on the line that just called in. Is that right, Lucy?
Yes, we do. Hi, who is it?
Hello, this is Aaron Adair. Hi.
Hey, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. Welcome.
Thanks for having me on again tonight.
Not a problem.
When
How have you been?
Yeah, I mean, let me just give a little bit of a background before we get into that. For folks who are listening now, Aaron Adair had come on our show to talk about ancient aliens and the idea of debunking. And there's a whole story behind that show where we were actually going to have Jason Martell on, and he backed out. I don't know if he was too afraid or not, but Aaron had come on, and we went through the gamut of everything, from the show Ancient Aliens to ideas of whether or not aliens were good teachers. And so we had a really interesting conversation. So thank you for coming on the show with us, Aaron, and thank you for coming on tonight. So as I interrupted, as Lucy was saying, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. I also was listening a bit earlier to the show, and you were talking about your top 5 not-so-great shows, and I found I wasn't either, so right in the middle. Hurrah. It reminds me of a quote from the Three Stooges. We're stupendous, we're terrific, we're even mediocre.
Well, actually, Aaron, you came in at number 6, so you're not in the middle.
Oh, wow. You just made my night.
62 is not bad.
So,
right,
in prep for tonight's show, and I was hoping that you would be able to call in, so thank you for calling in. But in prep for calling for tonight's show, I found online, and I don't know if you came across this, but there's this video that's floating around the internet in regards to I guess artifacts that were found in this famous Egyptologist, I guess his apartment. In the back of his apartment, it was behind a bookcase that opened up. And this Egyptologist, Sir William Petrie, I believe is his name. Have you heard of this, or have you seen this video?
Well, I have to admit, I've actually been a bit off the internet grid until recently. I was with family in a place without internet access, so I only sporadically saw this on, I think it was on Jason Colabito's blog, where he quickly talked about it. So I can't really comment, and I don't really know enough details behind it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, it was basically about the idea that he was this famous Egyptologist, and for some reason he kept artifacts that he found. I don't know if it was in the pyramids at Giza or where he found them at. I didn't research that part of it. But this video purportedly shows the artifacts that were found, and one of which were these alien skeletal remains. Others were these sculptures of alien faces next to hieroglyphics. And the idea of these ancient aliens being recognized and being noted in ancient Egypt is sort of going to change history and change Egypt's history, and the idea that ancient aliens were actually involved in man. And so I was hoping that maybe we can sort of get your twist on it. But I think the idea of ancient aliens is intriguing enough, even from the conversation that we had in the interview that we did with you. I'm loving, and I do want to have you back on the show, Aaron, and I want to have James on as well, because I think you guys are really great. And I've read his blog so many times, I think I go dizzy. But has anything new developed that within the area of ancient aliens that you could sort of bring to light now?
There's one thing in particular I could mention. It was one of the topics from our conversation about the Antikythera mechanism, the ancient mechanical computer. I was actually in the Netherlands a couple of months ago for an academic conference, and one of the talks on the side was one of the main researchers on this device. And he brought up some things that were very new to me. In the news, it was mentioned maybe several weeks ago that the device might be like about 50 years older than originally thought, so maybe around 150 BCE, somewhere around there. But one of the inscriptions that they had been working on, and I don't think it's been announced because it's still somewhat preliminary, but it looks like the machine does even more than expected. Apparently, it was also a weather predicting machine.
Really?
Does that make a huge difference though? Because it was, I believe, from what I remember, it was astronomical or astrological, and somehow. Oh well, no. Sorry. Let me take that back. That wouldn't be the same then.
Well, the thing is, actually, it relates to that. So, yeah, it's supposed to be an astronomical computer, and the way it's supposed to make weather predictions was that apparently there was the belief that, I believe it was lunar eclipses were believed to somehow affect the major winds of the region, like the northerly or easterly winds. So apparently what the machine was supposed to say in this little description is that basically when you have a lunar eclipse in this month or say, you're going to expect a stronger eastern wind or something like that. So it was really based on a faulty astronomical or astrological belief that eclipses affect the weather. So when I'm saying that the weather predictor, I didn't say it was a very good one. It's not quite as good as Doppler radar, say, but apparently one of the things that this device was supposed to do was tell you something about the future of the weather, which makes it an even more intriguing device to me, but still, of course, puts it in its ancient context. Either that or the aliens know even less about weather than we do.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is it still being considered an alien intervention mechanism, or are they still in the guise that it is still, man-made?
Everyone on the project whose research gets, believes that it's a very human device and can be put into a proper ancient scientific context. And a few things I learned along the way is that apparently one of the interesting details of the gearing of it is that it wasn't as good as I had originally thought, that apparently the device knowingly kind of jams up and you have to put your fingers into it to kind of readjust things as it's when you're calculating. So apparently the gearing was a little more faulty than first thought, in part because of the metals involved, in part because of how the gearing teeth were created. So if anything, it's even showing more its human hand, because you literally have to put a human hand into it every so often to make it work. It's like having an old grandfather clock that every so often, not only do you have to wind it up, but you have to almost foil the gears and things like that. And you can imagine that'd be a pretty bad clock if you have to, knock the sides of it every so often just for it to keep going.
Or use duct tape, right?
I don't know if there's any ancient equivalent to that, but I'd have to look that up.
Well, we had you back on in September, late September. How's everything been going in your career and in your journey down this path?
Well, career-wise, I've had my first good semester of teaching at where I'm at. And fortunately, I didn't make too many of my students angry, so that much I can say is good. And I'm continuing in my research when it comes to either education or some of my other interests in ancient science, ancient history, and a little bit more about some of the modern people theorizing about it. Since, like I said, I've now been able to be at my first big conference about ancient history and, butt heads with people who know way more than I ever will about these things. Very fun times.
Where do you see yourself going within the topic of ancient aliens? Do you think that, where do you think that the field of ancient aliens will be going in the future? Do you believe that there may be, or we may be on the verge of finding an answer, or do you think we're completely way off, that it's just never going to happen?
Well, one factor is that when it comes to using ancient documents or ancient artifacts to try to show that we were contacted in the past, I don't see that changing in the future of actually indicating an extraterrestrial presence in the past. Like you, of course, mentioned these alleged findings in basically an old cabinet from an Egyptologist from the 19th century. I don't know the details there, but of course my first thought is this almost sounds exactly like the premise of so many novels I've read, so I have to double check that this isn't just a little bit more elaborate of a modern creation. But besides that, I just don't necessarily see anything popping up in the near future there. The best chance I see of finding about ancients in the past is listening to radio signals like what SETI does, because anything SETI's going to detect when it comes to detecting possible alien signals is from the past. Maybe it's from 100 years in the past. Maybe if we build extremely good telescopes, 1,000 years in the past. One of the ways I've seen people refer to SETI is it's the archaeology of the future. Because when we're listening to these radio signals of advanced civilization, they're hundreds, maybe thousands of years in the past. We'll be listening to the past in real time, if that ever happens. And that's the future that I would bet is more likely to happen than something dug up in the sands of Egypt, proving that we had the sort of contact that many of the people on the History Channel or H2 are alleging.
What do you think about this Mars One project that, and I forgot the gentleman's name, that they are going to be shooting people, sort of a one-way ticket to Mars and creating a colony there? What's your thoughts on that?
Let's see. Now, if I remember correctly, I think they're trying to shoot for doing this starting like 2030, 2035, which in my mind is amazingly soon because of all the technical hurdles we'll have to jump over. Getting to the moon back in the 60s was hard, but that was a 3-day journey. Sending people to Mars, you first have pretty much a year floating in space and, having to deal with radiation. You have to take all your food and oxygen for a month, and if you get to Mars and successfully land and all that, you can't exactly go out, breathe the air. You can't grow anything very easily. So there's major hurdles to get up there and just make sure that the people we send there don't land and are already riddled with cancer and starving. So those are big technical hurdles that I know people are thinking really hard about. And 15, 20 years from now, solving seems perhaps optimistic, but I can be hopeful. And also that if you're going to make it a one-way trip, you definitely want to send people who won't drive each other nuts. I mean, going on a road trip for 6 hours with your parents, with your family, can already, rattle you a bit. Imagine being on some small shuttlecraft for 9, 12 months, even before you can land on the ground. I'd probably go nuts. So you definitely need the right sort of people who are both willing and able to handle that sort of stress.
I would think that they would. But I would think that they would send up, first of all, in the very beginning, as scientists, doctors, folks of that nature. But what I'm reading on the website that they have for Mars One, they've pretty much opened it up to anyone, and they've got applicants right now that are sort of in the running. I think they're down to I don't know if it was 10 or 20 applicants right now that are sort of vetting for a position to be, one of the first 4 or 6 or whatever it is that they're going to be sending up.
Yes, that's one thing. As I understand it, there are plenty of volunteers. I can't remember if this was another project, but I think they had something like 100,000 people interested in being part of that crew. So people that are willing to jump, that just shows how awesome the human spirit is. Making it a success, that is going to take so much work, and I really hope this does happen in my lifetime. I would love to know that the human species will be able to go and live on another body besides the Earth. I just don't know if 15, 20 years is enough to work out enough hurdles that we can send people that's more than just a 1 in 1,000 chance. I want to make sure that if we send people there, they have an excellent chance of making this happen, making it grow, and making it so humanity can reach out and not be afraid to expand. That's the worst thing I can think of, is if we do this kind of half-cocked and we get people hurt or killed, we're going to, basically slow down progress in this sort of thing for who knows how long.
Right.
I mean, in some ways, it's really one of the tragedies of, like, the Columbia disaster back in, now 10, 11 years ago, the shuttle that was destroyed on a reentry, and effectively now we have almost no manned program in the United States. In part, of course, because, we want to make sure whatever we send up doesn't do that. And that sort of figure makes it really hard to advance, even though we have plenty of people who are courageous enough to put their lives on the line. I want the best. That's what I want.
Well, it certainly has been an amazing experience to talk with you, Aaron. We loved your show, and like I said, your show came in number 6, so I would take that as a compliment. I know our listeners loved it. Our listeners loved it. We got great feedback from that show, and again, we'd love to have you back on. Where can our listeners go to learn more about you or to check out some of your future endeavors?
Well, my blog is gilgamesh42.wordpress.com, and I tweet at adair_Aaron. That's probably the best way to see what's happening to me.
Great, and like I said before, we'll post all of these links on our Facebook show page so that everybody can check you out. Aaron, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Happy New Year to you and to your family and to everyone, and we wish you the best for 2015.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you guys as well. Good night.
Happy New Year. Thanks, Aaron.
Bye-bye.
One of, obviously, the most interesting shows that I like to do, obviously, revolves around aliens, which I think you are one of them, Lucy. But I love the idea of talking about aliens and UFOs, obviously. But what intrigued me about this was the whole idea of having Aaron on debunking the whole Ancient Aliens myth. And if you've watched on the History Channel the show Ancient Aliens in that series, some of those claims are off the wall. They're completely, batty. But some of them are believable. And, I don't know if it's just me being gullible or my lack of education and experience in the field. I believe some of them. And when we were talking to him back in September on the show, much of what he had said and revealed to us sort of made sense. And he put it plainly at one point during the interview and said, well, you know what? If there was intervention of aliens at some point in history, in ancient history, why don't we see any of the evidence within the development of humankind? Why don't we see advancements in farming and agriculture and clothing, any of that stuff, why don't we see advancements in that? And we don't. We only see these snippets on the show Ancient Aliens where they say we've cut half of a mountain and made a landing pad, or we've made these precision laser cuts to make these stackable bricks that are so tight you can't even get a piece of hair through it, and negating the fact that us as humans may have had a brain at some point. Everything goes in a circle. We may have had a brain at some point and lost it, and it came back again. They always say things happen in circles, and we sort of relive things over and over again. I don't know, but it was an interesting interview that we had with him, and Aaron's a great guy, and Jason Colavito, who we've wanted to have on that show but wasn't able to make it. Hopefully in 2015 we'll get them both on, because those are the two amazing guys when you want to talk about ancient aliens and debunking.
Well, I'm just waiting to see the three of you together and listen, and I'll just sit back and and try to make sense of it all, because a lot of the stuff is like way above my head. I will admit that. So
it's not way above your head. It's not way above your head. Everybody can get it.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, we have had Mateo on the line for a while now. And Mateo, you're still there?
Yes, I am.
Hello. Okay. We want to talk a little bit, give us an update about the Whatcast. If you haven't heard it, this is a podcast that Mateo and Mike put on. And these guys are amazing. They're funny. They're interesting, and they talk about some of the most off-the-wall stuff and things about that you think you know about, but they give you a completely different perspective. Mateo, what's in store for everybody on the Whatcast in 2015?
A lot of the same. We've actually got a pretty big guest coming up within a couple of weeks here that we're really excited about. I don't know if he's been on anybody's podcast before, but it should be a pretty cool one. But we're just looking to continue to grow and stuff like that. We've actually had a lot of people write into us saying that they heard us on your show, which is, to me, just an awesome completion of a circle.
There you go, that circle again.
Yeah.
You'll be receiving our invoice shortly.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll take it.
Where can everybody go to find the Whatcast?
Well, you guys can go to the whatcasters.com. We have our shows up there and all the show notes, videos or pictures of anything we talk about, and all that stuff is on the whatcasters.com.
Mateo, I have a question for you. Wait. I just have one question,
okay.
Lucy. Mateo, as a fellow radio caster, what was, or can you think of, one of your shows that was a little bit more difficult to produce, to put together?
Oh man, I'm the king of that. We've had so many shows that I've accidentally deleted, you guys. For some reason, people like to come on our show absolutely pissed drunk, and they just
really
go off. Oh yeah, just recently we've had to delete a show that I mean, it was a 2.5 hour call to where I think we talked for about 30 seconds. The guest just asked why we were so quiet. It's because you wouldn't shut up. But yeah,
that's what I want to ask. I mean, you guys, when you guys get started, you guys are absolutely amazing. And some of these topics that you have, I mean, like when we were talking about time travel, boom, you were right there with the theory. Where do you get all this stuff? I mean, where do you get your subject matters or the ideas for topics? Does it just like pop into your head, or how do you do this? I mean, because it really, really is interesting.
For me, it's just finding the perfect person to talk about this stuff with. I've been very lucky to be able to find Mike and do the show with him. It's just everything I don't know about, he knows about, and everything he doesn't know about, I know about. And we've been able to do a show for a year and a few months now, just on conversations I'd love to have with somebody who knows about this stuff. It's been really amazing.
It's a perfect marriage. It's almost like what Lucy and I go through. There's a lot of topics that I'll know more about, and there's areas that I have not even looked at that Lucy knows full well about, and that's sort of how we work as well. It's a great, symbiosis, and it makes the show what it is. So, and that's why I think why we love your show so much. That it just is, and it's so natural too. The way that you and Mike talk to each other and talk to your guests, it's so natural. And I've said this before, I hate you because I hate your voice. It's so much better than mine. He's got the perfect radio voice. I hate him.
My dad was a singer, and at a young age I realized that I might be able to hold a note, but my voice is very annoying. So maybe I can talk well.
Well, it works.
It works. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about, because we only got about 15 minutes left in the show, was our show that we did with Bob Murch. And this was early on in the year, and we had that Ouija debate, however you want to pronounce it, where we had Bob Murch on and a few other guests to sort of do a little bit of a roundtable debate. And this has been something that has popped up constantly, and I see it all the time, everywhere on social media and on the Internet, and even at locations that Lucy and I have been interested in going to. One of the disclaimers that they say is no Ouija boards. And I've come to the point now where I'm almost laughing at it because it just doesn't make sense. And we've said this so many times before. You utilize other tools that are, in essence, the same thing as a Ouija board. It may not just be cardboard. It may be, technology, or it may be your voice. It may be something else. But in essence, it's still the same thing that you do with a Ouija board, but yet the Ouija boards are not allowable, or sometimes you can't even talk about the Ouija boards to certain people. It's almost like they break out the crucifix and start praying right there on the floor. And so when we had Bob on during the debate, at one point, one of the other debaters was talking about how much he knew about the Ouija board and how much he said that, this is the way that the Ouija board is. And I wanted to play Bob's reaction, and it's a 3-minute clip. Bob's reaction to the other debater, and sort of a lesson in Ouija, in the Ouija board itself, and the spirit board, and what it actually is, and what people should think about it. And so I just wanted to play this for you all. So take a listen.
I understand there are all these theories, and so a couple things. One, I'd like to address that and then kind of go back to the history, because how you think of Ouija boards today was not always how everyone thought about them, and there's a reason why that shifted. But there are a lot of theories about how things manifest themselves that we don't know. So when someone says that this is how this works, that's not a fact. We don't know if when you use a digital recorder, if those things aren't drawing it off you and that the recorder is just picking it up. We don't know that that's the power source and that's how they're materializing. And so I would kind of counter that with the reason I think it's funny, and this happened many years ago on a ghost hunt when the Ghost Hunters invited Jeff and I to one of the conferences. Jeff Belanger is a great guy. I'm sure you guys all know him. And I wasn't allowed to bring any Ouija boards there. It was back 10, 15 years ago. They just weren't even accepted at being at shows. And I was lectured on how I couldn't bring any. And then we're sitting there during the hunt, and all of a sudden people are putting out their K2 meters and their digital recorders, and they're saying, is there anybody here? Does anyone have a message for us tonight? And Jeff hits me and goes, isn't this a Ouija board session? And it was really funny. I had this great conversation with Lorraine Warren, who I actually completely agree with. She actually thinks Ouija boards can be dangerous. So do I. But she also believes that Ouija boards, just like any divination tool, are dangerous because it's the act of conjuring. And someone said it earlier about putting yourself in a place and putting a place in your mind where you open that door. And so I think where they can be dangerous is that you are opening a door that you might not know exactly what to do with, just like, when you first drive a car A lot of people's first experiences don't go that well, and you practice until you get better at them. And I think this can be one of those things. But I think people feel safer when they use technology because they feel like there's distance. But I'd counter, there really isn't any distance. When you ask for something to come to you, whether that's your subconscious, which, by the way, is just as dangerous to play around with as the paranormal, anytime you open that door, however you do it, we don't have Casper the Friendly Ghost rule book upon, well, if you do it like this, it's more dangerous. If you don't do it like this, it's okay. I fall with Lorraine Warren. I think there is inherent danger playing around with stuff. However, it's acceptable danger in the sense that it's going to happen. People have been trying to reach across the veil since the first minute they realized someone died and they didn't come back. So people just praying. I mean, we know this, right? There's noetic sciences where just the human thought has an effect on matter. And so we do open a door, but the door we open is inside of us. And so, again, Ouija boards carry this power because over time, the entertainment world started shifting how Ouija boards were viewed.
And I believe that to be 100% true. Lucy and I have always said that any piece of equipment that you utilize as a divination tool it falls under the category of conjuring. No matter, like I just said before, no matter if it's a cardboard game or if it is a digital audio recorder or if it's a symbol, anything that you utilize can be dangerous. I'm not arguing that Ouija boards are not dangerous, but I'm not abiding to the fact that people are segregating the Ouija board and stating that that is the only thing that is dangerous and that therefore they are forbidding that portion. But then again, everything else is allowable and everything else is fine, but the concept is still the same. You're still conjuring. You're still doing everything the same thing that you would do with the Ouija board. So I'm hoping that in 2015 people are changing their minds to the fact that this Ouija board game by Hasbro is evil and demonic and is the only way that can create a portal. I love the fact that people have these definitive answers on things within the paranormal, and yet, like Bob Murch just said, there's no rule book. There's no guidebook that is given to us on the paranormal. We can't go into a haunted location and say, okay, if I do this, I'm okay. And if I don't do this, then okay, I won't get those bad spirits. But if I do this, I'll get the good spirits. You don't know what the hell you are creating or conjuring when you even walk into a location and say hello. So I'm hoping that in 2015 we move away from this idea and put the stigmata on the Ouija board and start realizing that everything that we are doing and everything that we are using can be dangerous. It's the mindset of the person and the individual that is utilizing it that needs to be educated and needs to hold the power to understand that what they are doing is dangerous and not the tool that you're using is the only thing that is being dangerous.
Well, going back to that interview, there is one other thing that Bob talked about, and it's intent. Your intent when you go in, when you make the decision to contact the other side, your intent has a lot to do with it. And I totally agree with both you and Bob. Honestly, I don't see the difference between a Ouija board and other pieces of equipment. And we could talk about this all day, but my opinion, I'm looking forward to the day that the Ouija is not demonized the way it is. And until then, I'm still going to use one. I mean, if we can use it in a haunted location, I'm very willing to use it. But I really think it just boils down to your intent, what you're looking for in the first place. Communication, or are you looking for something more, that rush, that I want to contact the demon. Hey, you want to contact the demon no matter what you're using, you're probably not going to be happy with your results. So.
Yep.
You know, that show aired back in February 28th. So if anybody wants to check out the full show and hear the entire debate that went on that night, go back on our archives on the Blog Talk, Paranormal Review Radio, and check back in February 28th was the actual date that we had that show on. It was a really interesting conversation, and I appreciate it, and thanks. And I want to thank Bob Murch for coming on the show that night, and all of our guests that we've had throughout 2014. I want to thank. Each and every one of them made the show significant and led us to hopefully educating everyone out there. I know certainly everyone, including Mateo and Connie, and everyone has educated me and has pulled me forward into the paranormal much greater than I ever have been before. And it has instilled a fire in me that I know is never going to die out. If Lucy decides that she hates me tomorrow and decides to leave the show, I'm going to still continue to do this. And I'm going to still, whether it's on air or not, I'm going to still continue to research and delve into the paranormal, because what is life and what is afterlife? And we've all been searching for it. And I know we're all going to get that answer one day. I know that answer is going to come to us. But it's interesting to find out what life is all about by learning what the afterlife is about. And I think the afterlife can teach us how to live and what we should take as precious and what we should prioritize in our lives. And I think that's what the search in the paranormal is all about, is trying to find what the truth is within our own selves so that we can live our lives a lot better than we could ever before. So I want to thank everybody for 2014. And 2015, I think, is going to be an extraordinary year. I think we're going to push the envelope even more. We are going to try and find, I think we're going to, stay away from the paracelebs, because I think that's been hit enough. And I really don't want to go down that route as much. If it happens, it happens, but it's not going to be pushed on, at least on my end. If Lucy wants to, then I'm happy to do it, but it's not going to be pushed on my end. I want to educate. I want to find out more about things and more about the topics at hand, so that people understand the paranormal a little bit more. Yes, we can have fun here and there, but I think the education of it all is what is going to help people, and that's what I want to do. I want to help people. I'm just not on the air to, make a laugh and say goodbye. Hopefully there's a difference that is made, and if it's not by anybody that's listening, it's by me, and that's the reason why I love the show.
I truly love this show, and no, I'm not going anywhere. This show has opened this show has opened up so much in my world and in my learning, and I just want to thank everybody who listens, everybody who participates, and you know what? I wouldn't trade this experience for anything in the world. And thank you, everyone who listens and everyone who's been on the show and all of the guests that we're going to have and all of the topics that we're going to have. So let's go right now really quickly to one of the things that we've done every week, and it's the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. And this week, we decided to go with someone from the Facebook group, the Superfans. And it's Jacob Dow of Hamilton, Ontario. He is a member of the Superfans group on Facebook. He likes South Park, Orange is the New Black, Supernatural, Rammstein, Skrillex, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Gabriel Iglesias, and, of course, he likes Paranormal Review Radio. Congratulations, and thank you for being a fan.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you want to be a Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week, just like us on Facebook or subscribe to us on YouTube at Paranormal Review Radio.
You know what, guys, we want to thank everyone who participated. Noreen, Aaron, Connie, Mateo for joining us. It was so great to hear from you. And next week we go back to two of our favorite topics, UFOs and alien encounters. How are the two connected to the Native people of North America? Well, you'd be surprised as to all the experience that Native people have, but haven't openly spoken about. Dr. Artie Six-Killer Clark is a professor emeritus at Montana State University, and and she has dedicated her life to working with indigenous populations. She's written a new book called Sky People, Untold Stories of Alien Encounters in Mesoamerica. It's the follow-up to her last book, Encounters with Star People, The Untold Stories of American Indians. And in the new book, Dr. Clark set on a 7-year adventure through Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, and Mexico, collecting stories of encounters with sky gods, giants, little people, and aliens among the indigenous people. Join us next Friday night as she shares the stories of the encounters through the eyes of the people of the land. Thank you, everyone, for supporting us and spending time with us. Thank you, Anthony, for another year of fun. And so, until next week, Para-Explorers, Happy New Year and have a paranormal week. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Mateo. Thank you for staying on the line with us, and have a happy new year and a great 2015. Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio.